What a beautiful thing to have a character obsessed with Marvel characters on screen that didn't feel like it was making fun of us. It's community. It's one of us, like, with us making our jokes versus Big Bang Theory, which is an atrocity.
No.
Welcome back to the Break Room. We're bringing back our movie review format to discuss the Marvels. I'm Evan, one of the producers here at the Break Room. Joining me today are Maude Garrett, Coy Jandreau, and Kim Horcher.
Which camera is it?
All of them.
Listen, when our tally lights broke, it truly launched us into a new multiverse, like this movie did.
Chaos.
Before we get into it, we're definitely going to spoil the movie, so keep watching if you don't mind spoilers or if you're okay with it, but if you don't, get mad at us in the comments because there's going to be a lot of them.
Spoiler heavy.
Yeah, so how this works is we're going to split the movie into different parts. Each part will get a grade, 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best, and our off-screen producer is going to be doing the math to get one total number at the end. So we'll be grading the script, the story and writing, the acting, the visuals, the directing, and the sound and score. All right, so first off, the script. Written by director Nia DeCosta, as well as Megan McDonnell and Alyssa Karasik, who both have previous Marvel credits in WandaVision and Loki writing credits. What do you guys think?
I thought a lot of this didn't make sense.
Okay.
I really got the impression while watching this that this was not even close to being an earlier edit, that it's been cut and pieced together, moved around. There's been a committee. Committee didn't like this, committee didn't like that. We put this thing to that thing. I think I described it on Twitter as, like, I was having a good time, kind of like putting together a puzzle, but then when I'm done, I realize, like, this isn't just one puzzle, and it's missing some pieces, and it looks weird, and it doesn't make sense as a whole.
Okay.
That's how I felt. I would like some more congruency. I would like full arcs for all three leads.
Yeah.
Maude had a reaction. Go.
Oh yes, during the movie. This is like my spoiler-free review for everyone. During the movie, my face did this. In the post-credit scene, it did this. So that's my non-verbal review. In terms of the script, though, there was not so much coherency, and I kind of feel like they had a plan of what the character would be like, and we got a very two-dimensional version of that character type. So it's like, you know, when you needed a serious moment, Monica Rambeau would kind of come in and get the team back on track. And then when you needed sort of like a existential moment, well, boom, Captain Marvel's got that one, because she's going to sort of go, but I had so much pressure, here's my exposition, da-da-da. And then when you need a comedic moment, Ms. Marvel comes in with the goods, and I thought
clutch, okay?
Yeah, she really did.
Vellani is incredible.
Those moments were fantastic, so we did get a sense of who these characters were, but then this journey and the exposition of what the Kree are up to, and then stopping off at a planet, and then, you know, it sort of ended, and there was trying to be some story there.
Too much happened off screen, I think.
A little bit. And is it weird that I'm like, hey, Monica, she was saving the frickin' planet, the universe. Like, I just think it's so hard to put so much responsibility on an individual. You said that you would come back for me. And she's like, I was like literally trying to save galaxies. And she's like, I'm going to be mad about it this whole movie. And you're just kind of like,
I wish we weren't starting with writing, because this will be my lowest score, and I try to start positively, so do bear with me as we develop into this. But if we're being honest about writing, which I am trying to be, I do feel like everything you guys have said I mirror, but I also, on top of that, feel like there are beautiful overarching arcs written but not ever seen. Like, the story itself has relationships between Carol and Monica, between Carol and Miss Marvel, which is teased but never lands, between Monica and Iman. Like, there's these amazing dynamics that are almost there, and I love the idea of basically Carol getting her redemption, and then Iman kind of becoming like that surrogate, like, not child, but someone that looks up to her, surrogate apprentice.
She's Peter Parker.
Yeah, she is 100% Peter Parker to Iron Man, but we never felt that. And then that would have been an amazing, like, loss of Monica, and then she comes in and takes that void. And so Carol gets closure, Monica got a little bit of closure with the apology, and then Iman gets closure on maturing into becoming more of a full-fledged superhero. Like, there's closure throughout this. that we didn't get. Like, it set up a lot, and then it didn't deliver, in my opinion, on the weight of these decisions. So the movie itself is written to have this amazing revelation that, you know, Carol did something wrong, and she's weighing those consequences, but the weight didn't really feel there. So I like what it could have been, and I do feel like it is getting a lot of fun commentary, and I the only reason I'm being as forthright with my negativity than I usually am is because I think that the word fun is becoming like a 4-letter word. It's becoming like a negative review, and I think movies should be fun, but I think they can be fun and have weight and have consequence and have, so I do think there's a lot in here that's excellent. I do think there is more in here that could have been excellent.
I mean, it was. Sorry to say about it.
But that's, I mean, that word
I had
is a
good
positive, but
time.
it's used so dismissively to movies now.
I don't
I like
know
the
if
idea
it's a dismissive thing, as it's kind of like ameliorating maybe a not great situation. Like, oh, this space is cozy, you know.
Sure.
Small.
Yeah.
How is he? Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's kind of get into that then, because I do feel like I think I generally agree with what the three of you have said. But why do you think that this is happening? Is it something where the story is trying to serve too many characters at the same time, or is this like, you know, or is it suffering because of all the interconnectivity that has to happen, or like, you know, as we've said before, like the Marvel Parliament or something like that? Like, where do you think this kind of like disjointedness comes from in this script?
I think things just happen and we never understood why a lot of the time.
Well, I also think there's like the questions underneath are, you know, what are we allowed to work with? Who are we allowed to work with? What are we allowed to, what space are we allowed to play within? And then what do women want? And there was a time watching this movie where I leaned to the person next to me and I said, women don't want this. And I thought that was really interesting. You could probably guess the scene that I'm talking about with the mystical prince all of a sudden, and it's the music.
Oh, the
it's
singing.
it's the
Sure,
Buffy
yeah.
musical number that kind
Yeah.
of was just like, okay. And I just kind of thought that it's like, you know, what's really hot right now for the girlies, and it's like fae, and it's, you know, fairy tale, and it's all these sorts of things.
Interesting.
But because it just didn't fit in with the story at all,
It was weird.
yeah,
I
mean,
mean,
I was sitting there. That's where the face came from.
I feel like my read on that whole situation was more like this would have been a great moment for both Monica and Kamala to see through like Captain Marvel's kind of like stoic veneer, or see that like beyond this like image that they both have of her, you know, for be it the aunt or the hero, that she is still a person who like has this quote unquote like fun side, or has had to do something.
But also
you know.
a lot on her plate. Like, we've also discovered
Yeah.
this other responsibility where she's now sort of like the princess consort for an entire planet. So it's just like, it's like a never-ending thing where it's like, oh, by the way, like I had to also commit myself into this whole scenario. And so you do sort of see more layers with her. But yeah, it was just so done in a way that was whiplash.
And that ties into what I was saying about the writing, is like there are elements there that could have served. Like I do feel like this is a script that I can see, you know, whoever is responsible for a lot of the overarching ideas, but the delivery on those ideas, like that, the singing planet is a thing that happens in comics with weird elements, and I liked the bilingual line, but the bilingual line was not worth the other 4 minutes of suffering I went through. So I do feel like it had a great idea, it had a great purpose, it had what you're describing, like that is the seed of it, but the flower just didn't bloom in a way that felt like I was watching the delivery on those promises, much like the arcs in the relationships for me.
Yeah, I do think too, like, you know, one of the things about this movie that's like in the press is that it's one of the shorter Marvel movies that has come out in the last couple of years. Like, in a weird way, like I would have wanted to give this movie more time if it could, like, you know, spend that time developing some of those arcs you touched on. I think one of the more interesting quotes, we talked about this like on the show earlier this week, was that like, you know, Mary Lavanos, one of the producers, was saying that, you know, this was like going to be a story about like families reconnecting, or a family reconnecting. And I think that there you see like that seed, and you see that it's present throughout the thing, but it doesn't, you know, to your point, Kim, it's like it all kind of happens off screen, you know, like, or we're just kind of meant to like accept that these things are happening, or people are reconnecting in a good way. Yeah.
It was like in that scene when Monica and Kamala.
Yeah.
I get confused between her and the vice president. I'm sorry. They were like, "What's going on? Okay, let's get into it." You know, and it just kind of like feeling a little awkward about it, but trying to get in and see it for what it is happening in the very present moment, but ultimately later it's just leaves you feeling, what?
That scene's a great example of also knowing that so much had to get cut, because she's holding 2 glasses throughout that sequence. We don't see those glasses come to her, and I know this is a nitpick, but that means to me there's somewhere a joke of either she needs to drink to endure it, or maybe there's a joke between Monica and Miss Marvel, and Kamala goes to take a glass, and Monica says no. Either way, that shows a sisterhood, that shows a connection, or it shows her uncomfortableness of the situation, which would allow her to seem more stoic and like show that scientific side. Both of those would have landed. They're not there, and the glasses are there. So it's like the seeds thing I'm talking about. You keep seeing like that's a thing that's not on. And I know that's a nitpick, but like if you watched a movie that wasn't with the Marvel brand, and all of a sudden something like that happened, IMDb used to just be like, you know, trivia, anachronisms, goofs, and all those things, or like this is when things are wrong.
Continuity.
Yeah, like the errors the panel. It was like there's a lot of that because this movie felt like it was made by committee to me.
I absolutely want to go on that thought. I wonder how much of the script was so bit heavy that they needed to sort of rely on these comedic moments, and sometimes they landed, and they did. The ones that we got in the movie, there were some laugh out loud moments, but I'm wondering how many of these bits that were supposed to rescue or redeem a scene or a moment fell flat, and they
Because
got
there was pure
scrapped.
joy at times.
Yes.
But when there wasn't, it was like, I want to feel that joy.
Yeah. So I wonder if they were just trying so hard for it to be funny, and that they put all the stock in the comedic moments, that it was at the cost of, you know,
The
That
drama that
really
we
can't
needed.
that can't make a whole movie. Not this kind of movie.
Well, and the end of it, like, you know, there's the spoilers. The end of the movie where we lose Monica, that sacrifice is undermined by the choice to have Carol reach out, and then when she came back, just acknowledge it instead of like, this is Brie Larson, like she's in Room. Like, why not have her feel
really
the way?
dig in.
Because Carol Danvers in the comics is wildly passionate, and she feels so much. And there's a stoicism, but there's also like a depth to her emotion that I would have loved to have seen, and that would have connected her with Kamala more.
I will say that Captain Marvel, when it came out, it was supposed to be for women. It was supposed to be such a monumental movement, and I was so disappointed in that movie, and specifically in Brie Larson's performance. I felt like she was doing a table read with a camera on. It felt like she gave nothing to it. So I will say, and we're probably going to get into this with acting next, so we'll move into that. She actually was night and day better.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
But I think it was the writing that said, play this like I don't think she would have been like, you know, now's the time to do less. Like, I feel like Brie Larson's acting, which I do think is incredibly evolved here, because she's so good. I was so confused the first Captain Marvel.
Well, I think that she shone with moments with Samuel L. Jackson, and they barely got scenes together in this movie. So I don't think you got the best version of these characters.
He's probably her best scene partner.
Yeah.
Altogether.
I mean, just in general, I mean, she then went on to direct her own movie, and she casted him in it, and you know. Anyways, we'll get into that. But I guess like to kind of like wrap up the script and the storytelling. All right, if you were to give it a final number and why, if you feel like you need to justify why, what would that be?
2.5. They tried.
I did enjoy myself in the moment. 2.5.
Okay.
1.5. I wanted the things that it started to show to land, and I love the concept, so I can't give points for an idea. I have to go off the film itself, and I also think we're in a very tricky time with comic book movies where this one represented a lot of things, and it had a little bit more weight that wasn't fair to it, but is there. This needed some Avenger level rewrites because it's as important as an Avengers film.
Interesting. No, I'll give it a 3 because I mean, going off of the you know, the themes that are present in the movie, I think that some of those are going to be more prevalently felt when we're not kind of like in the throes of like the finale of Loki, and when we're not, you know, in this huge Marvel shuffle. I think like both Captain Marvel and Ant-Man and the Wasp and Spider-Man Far From Home have all suffered based on where they kind of were released, or at least in my experience of like having watched those movies. And I do feel like that this movie is going to be it's a little bit like that. I think you know, there's so much stuff that goes around it, especially like, you know, working here and doing these shows. There's a lot of like watching these trailers and everything, and like when the trailer lines come up, I'm like, well, there's the trailer line, let's go. And so yeah, I'm excited to watch it again and to kind of like let all the like preconceived stuff kind of like leave my head and just like go into it a little bit cleaner. I will say, if you saw the movie at 9 p.m. on Thursday night and you talk through the whole movie with your friend, please do not go to movies and do that.
Was
it
it gonna
even-
kill you? That's what he's
It was
saying.
it was
Was
like
it good commentary at least?
no. So this guy,
never is,
this is
Mom.
like a
No,
really.
the intelligence of if someone's talking in a movie, they're not smart, so they can't have a good conversation.
I think, but the worst part about it is that this person sat down and they basically like, before the movie even started, was complaining about trailers, complaining about anything, and they were like, "Yeah, what the heck?" Like they literally, like their voice was that kind of
Oh,
like
no.
that high, and it was like okay. And so then sometimes they would clarify things that was happening on screen to their friend, like, "Oh, that's how my thing deals with this." And one time though, the friend asked them a question, and they were like, "Oh, you didn't see Hawkeye?" And it was just like,
Shut
You
up.
are
it was so
kinder
not
man than me.
only was this person complaining, they also like felt the need to like punch down on their friend for not keeping up with everything else. And it was just like, what kind of person, like, how can you do this?
So
I
how
just
Can
don't
you
understand.
spread this level of misery to people?
Yeah, I couldn't, and I've had a lot of bad experiences in movie theaters telling people to stop talking, telling people to get off their phones, and after the Loki finale last night, I was like, I just don't have it in me to even like attempt to get into some type of argument.
What would you have done?
Well, I was an usher at a movie theater for 6 years,
Whoa.
and I've served 6 years hard time sweeping. I know that there is a bit of vindication for an usher to feel that sweet, sweet relief of telling someone to F off. So I think when people are talking, the movie theater is a holy place to me. It's the closest thing I understand to how people feel about church. And if you are sacrificing, it's like peeing on a chapel. I would if you're pooping in my pew, you're getting out of there. So I would have found an usher, or as I'm a slightly more aggressive person than Evan, I would have said something directly. But for Evan, I would suggest getting an usher because sometimes it's fun to fight with people.
I like the classic. Could you shut up?
Very Australian.
Yeah. Have you tried not talking?
I changed my voice.
Shut up! In case when you're walking out, they hear you talking. It's like, oh no, that was her.
I'm a nice girl. I would never.
All right, so let's get into the acting. Starring Brie Larson, obviously, as Captain Marvel, Tiana Paris as Monica Rambeau, and Iman Vellani as Kamala Khan. And of course, Samuel L. Jackson, Park Seo-joon, Zoe Ashton. I mean, yeah, I really like the three of them together. I think a lot of the issues with this movie may come from the first category we talked
Script.
about. The
Okay.
script
Yeah,
and the
as
story.
numbers are going
I
up
think
from here.
that's-
Yeah.
That's
And
the root of it.
I do think when they were allowed to be together, and like you could finally see the three of them in one shot when they're doing their little like training montage and everything, and
Cute, that was
you
fun.
could tell there was like something that was like established there, like a good relationship between the three of them, both as actors and in character. And yeah, had a lot of fun.
I think you're right. Anytime there was a moment with the acting that you're like, ugh, not great, it probably was to do with the script in the moment. I think writing a three-dimensional villain is often very difficult to do because they have to truly believe that what they're doing is the right thing. They have to have believable motivation for the actions that they have. And I found that poor Zoe was trying her best, but it was falling short because she didn't have enough substance to work with, except, which was great, well done. But like, it was every conversation. It was the same intensity. It was the same reason why she was doing it, and we're still doing this exact same thing. And I'm going to talk to you in another scene, and guess what? I'm still going to be doing exactly this. And that's unfortunately just because of the character that they have created, and so she was doing what she could with it.
How was that character any different than Ronan the Accuser?
It wasn't at all. It could have been
She
the
even
same
held
person.
a hammer like
Yeah.
Ronan
Yeah.
did.
Well,
I finally get to be positive. I am a positive person. This is a relief. I think Iman Vellani is obviously a movie
MVP.
star.
Yeah,
Iman Vellani has been a movie star. She finally got to be in a movie. I love her on TV, but it was so great to see Miss Marvel on the big screen. It's a character I've loved for a very long time. It's the modern day Spider-Man in so many ways. And that was amazing because it felt like our eye line. Like, what a beautiful thing to have a character obsessed with Marvel characters on screen that didn't feel like it was making fun of us. It's community. It's one of us, like, with us making our jokes versus Big Bang Theory, which is an atrocity.
No.
Yeah, so it's the right way to show nerddom, and that's Miss Marvel. So I really love that. I also think that I had a lot of issues with the way Carol Danvers was portrayed in other iterations. I think she is so talented an actress, it made it harder to know her other work in the first Captain Marvel, and I felt like that movie had a writer's view of Carol Danvers, an actor's view of Carol Danvers, and the director's view of Carol Danvers, and none of them were the same. So it was really nice to see Nia and Brie have the same view of who she was, because it's shown, and it was the character I've been wanting to see. So love that. And then Monica Rambeau had a very hard job of being the stoic one, the badass, because they couldn't keep Carol too stoic, and all the scientific jargon. So the acting to me was the thing that elevated it from the script that was so difficult. And there were moments that only existed because of chemistry. There were things that on paper would have been like, that they did elevate. So acting, I quite enjoyed.
I had a really good time with Kamala's family.
Oh my God, yeah.
Loved it whenever they were on screen. It was so cute, and it felt really grounded. I mean, in this movie about space, it did ground a lot of it. It's hard to disagree with either of you. Obviously, Iman Vellani is the MVP. She brought so much joy, so much. It felt like a real person. I wouldn't be shocked if she's very close to what Kamala is, but she felt like a real, live, breathing person who I would want to be friends with, who I would want to protect. I love her. Let's just do a Ms. Marvel movie.
Yeah,
Please.
yeah, and I mean, maybe the ending setting something up like a little bit more of a project led by her, whether it is Ms. Marvel, whether it is like a Young Avengers type thing.
And how cool to be for her to have her lead, because she's the one that, like, she'd know all the tactics and moves. She'd be like, well, Captain America would do this, and it'd be really fun. And her wearing the coat, the iconic Kate Bishop coat, while quoting Nick Fury but messing it up because she's so excited. That was the exact scene that the movie needed at the end. I think that's why it's not a mid-credit. I think it was originally mid-credit, and they moved it up to the end because the ending didn't have the weight it should have. So, like, that scene was all charm. That might not have worked on the page.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know. Should we just grade it?
Yeah.
Should we get into it? I feel like, I mean, it's a 4 for me. Yeah, easy.
I would say probably a 4 as well. I think that Iman did such a good job with comedy. She really knows how to deliver these lines. It could have been another instance of a two-dimensional character who's just fangirling the whole time, and that's her only substance. But she manages to balance it so well, of these fun, funny moments, as well as serious moments, as well as sort of concern, the pressures of being sort of like, a daughter in that family. Like, you just kind of got a real big scope, and I think that was a testament to her acting. I'm going to give it a 4 because Brie actually stepped up so much more in this. I can't tell you just how disappointed I was in the first movie. So the fact that, like, I was pleasantly surprised, and I was waiting for it. I was watching for it. So well done with that one. And I think at this stage, Samuel L. Jackson will just show up on set and punch it. Like, he's just there for a good time, and he does a great job. So yeah. I also think, this could be a little bit of controversy. I think the Monica Rambeau character, I think she peaked in WandaVision.
I mean, it's not incorrect, because she had a lot more to do in WandaVision. She was infiltrating. She was trying to, like, work this weird 70s universe in that one episode. She did have a ton more to do. This time she was kind of doing what our issue with Captain Marvel was in the first one, which is I am very serious, and that is my character trait. And I know everything, and F you. But,
and when she did have a moment of comedy, it didn't almost land because it was so out of character at that point. So that was a bit difficult. But again, that's the writing. So
I'm sorry.
No, it's actually your turn.
I was just going to say, from what I said before, plus adding to that, I do think it's a 4 for me, because the moments that I have problems with weren't in the acting. Even, like I said, the last beat with Carol Danvers, that was so bothersome to me. I don't think that was an acting choice. I think that was how it was scripted. I could be wrong. But then again, I can't give it a 4.5 or a 5, because there was no moment where I was like, acting. Like, you got your certain, like, Meryl Streep moments or Room Brie Larson moments where you're like, cinema. So I can't go higher, but I have no negative, so I can't really go lower. I'm going to go 4.
Ladies and gents and anyone else, 4 4s, because I'm also doing that too. I cannot go higher due to limitations put on the actors by the script and overall how this ended up looking in the final cut. Maybe editing too. But I don't think the problems with this movie are on the shoulders of the actors.
Yeah, 100%. All right, well, before we get into the rest of it, I want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, Airscreen, this week. There's so much content to watch, and just the new Rockstars universe and even the Breakroom is putting out hours of videos a week, and that's before you flip on Disney Plus or Netflix. Not to mention, we all have jobs to do, overflowing inboxes, and Slack pings that don't stop. What if I told you that you could have it all, watch more content while still getting your work done? Our friends at Airscreen have come up with a way to do both. Basically, it lets you seamlessly watch full screen content while maintaining productivity by letting you see through the windows that you have open. You adjust the transparency to get it just right for whatever you're doing, and all of a sudden you can fill out a spreadsheet or answer an email while still seeing the visual Easter egg that Eric is pointing out in the latest Loki episode. You don't have to miss a big moment, and you don't need to scramble to change tabs or minimize anything. Airscreen has been in beta with early testers and is just now coming out to the public. They're partnering with us because they're fans of new Rockstars, and think Airscreen is really going to connect with our audience. So yeah, try it out, see if you like it as much as we do. To download Airscreen, click the link below for a 14-day free trial. No credit card info needed, and the first 500 people who use new Rockstar 25 will receive 25% off the annual subscription. Woohoo! Yay.
Cool.
Hey, next Thursday, if you're in Los Angeles, buy a ticket to the new Rockstars live show at Braindead Studios in Hollywood. There's a graphic. We love calling out the graphic and how cool it looks.
Wow.
That's a thing I've learned from being at the producer seat. If you're in the LA area, come check it out. You can click the image below on the Twitch bio or in the link in the description. And I think we have a new shirt. Dashiell, do we have a new shirt to show?
There it is.
Wow!
Oh,
Fresh
cool.
off the finale of Loki, we have this God of Stories shirt. John Costa said, hey, we need to make a shirt for that because that moment was awesome. So check out nerdride.shop to get the Loki shirt, and also you can get the Flurkin shirt, and also you can get the shirt
got
that
a back,
Maude's
too.
wearing. Everybody last night was like, Maude, can you tell us where you got the shirt? Well, Maude, where did they get the shirt?
You handed it to me and I put it on.
And that
That's
shirt
not going to work for you, but
which originally came from nerdriot.shop. So hey, check it out. All right, so let's get back into the movie review.
What's our next category?
What's the next category? I think it's the visuals. Cinematographer Sean Bobbitt and production designer Kara Brower, who also was a production designer on DeCosta's Candyman film. What everyone think visually?
I mean, I think it really benefited from being delayed a little bit, just like how Quantumania suffered from being sooner.
This is being pulled up, yeah. 100%. Yeah, there wasn't as much, what do we call it, like the purple goop or whatever.
Just
what,
goop.
like, yeah, the goop, the CGI goop, yeah.
I felt that it really, really sung when it did, and really didn't when it didn't. So like the space stuff, the cosmic elements were beautiful. I felt like I was in space. I don't care what the movie is. If you got a cat on someone's shoulder and you're flying through space, and that cat happens to look like my cat, you're getting some love. But that doesn't counteract. I think Nia DeCosta's directing is very, very sweeping and visual, and she has a lot of movement. Candyman is, I think, one of the most visually stunning horror movies in a very long time. Big Candyman fan right here. But I think the edit kind of hurt the visual because it'd be like, sweeping, let's put that in 4 different shots. And I was like, why? So that like hurt the visuals. But I also like suffered through, I did find that the costumes in bright lighting on the singing planet definitely had a Power Rangers vibe.
Yes.
I definitely got like we're doing a Power Rangers
You
thing.
say that like it's a bad thing.
But tonally it shifted. So like I gotta give love to the space, the cosmic. I gotta give love to the CGI being actually pretty seamless to the point where you don't notice it. I mean, it's not easy to make a power beam look like. I buy that. Certain things worked, but when they didn't, I noticed. So I'm not quite as high on it.
I love cats. 4.
Cats.
Woo!
Cats.
I really like the visuals of Carol Danvers' powers. Whether it's like floating on the hand, whether it's the iridescence nature of it all. I'm like really into that as an aesthetic choice. But there are a couple of moments where I was like, oh yeah, this is a soundstage, and it's very clearly a soundstage that they are in at the moment, and it takes me out of the movie sometimes, and it shouldn't be doing that. But there were other moments where I was like, yeah, this is really cool. Like I really liked what they did with sort of the hexagonal sort of patterns between realms. I really liked those sorts of things. But yeah, the fact that it took me out of it once or twice, I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Oh, we giving numbers already?
Oh,
Oh,
wait.
I did 4.
Oh, you did? I didn't give a number.
Oh, okay. I think I'll say my thing. I'll give a number, and then we'll go back to you, Coy. I really liked how tactile it all felt. Actually, I didn't feel like there wasn't as much like soundstaginess for me in certain points, but I think like I love seeing the ship being like a place that they could all interact with like very physically. You know, seeing Kamala's family, their house, and like seeing that it got destroyed during that fight. But a lot of the movie felt more physical than previous movies had for me. I think so. I really like when, you know, Barbie is a great example, right? When we're seeing more and more physical elements being brought back to movies, that's great. Like, get, you know, less sound stages, right? Or make it more disguised. Or rather less, you know, obviously we're on a stage type thing. Lots of things are on sound stages all the time.
Yes.
That ship is on a sound stage. But yeah, I think it's gonna be, I'll give it a 4. Yeah.
I will say, I don't know, really want to say this on the internet where it will last forever.
We can
but
cut it.
There are some good tentacles. Like, I think that they did a really good job.
No, that stays. That stays. That's important.
It's okay.
For the
there
culture.
were so many
Yeah,
of
Brian,
them.
you can keep
I don't
But
think
No.
you should be embarrassed
No,
of
hey,
sexuality.
it's very important to know thyself.
What I just honestly like, it was a big part. It was a continual bit that stayed on, and I think that if you couldn't stick that landing, the whole thing would unravel in a bad way.
Yeah, that's
So I
true.
think that actually worked. I think it made it cute and wholesome.
I will say, sorry,
No?
really quick, the Flurkin eggs, when those were in the ship, I was like, what are those gonna be? I had no idea what they were when they're like, these just keep popping
If they
up.
had, that's another writing thing. If they had introduced that in the first act, it would have worked. But
Yeah.
when it was in the third, I was like, so we're just introducing a little
Plot
like,
hole.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
Deus
yeah.
Ex
I
Machina. They're like,
I missed something.
so did I. I was like, okay,
Did
there's
I
a
not
mystery,
listen?
and then the lack of tension was so apparent. But then at the end, there's no tension for the payoff of it, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, we just met the eggs.
We just
like,
met the eggs,
and I
yeah.
get the cat being like hungry and eating different and like all those things. That's cute, but like we needed to establish those things being
Biology
compatible.
says that there was a girl flurkin and a boy flurkin.
Well, maybe
doesn't
it's
it?
like
maybe it's
Maybe they reproduce
reproduces
asexually.
Well, that's
like
it.
Godzilla sometimes.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Godzilla reproduces asexually.
Sometimes.
Yeah. That's how you keep the species going.
We know.
I mean, that a conversation or a little bit of insight. Like, you've got a ship full of 300-year-old scientists.
yeah.
Like, surely they picked that up along the way just to help us, the audience.
My
Script.
wild theory, last note of this, my wild theory brain went that those were going to be like fruits or something from Krakoa, from like the X-Men universe.
Your brain's like, it's
Yeah.
coming.
I was like, "Here
Oh, that's fun. I like that.
That's very sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought they would do that for us, but
I know. I have to not. I gotta turn the brain on.
Well, speaking of that is why my number is actually a bit lower than you guys. I was going to give it a 3 because it works more than it doesn't. When it doesn't, that drops it down from a 4 to a 3. But they ruined my boy. One of the most beautiful suits in comic books in the 2000s that actually made me feel like a character that is visually hard to do in drawing is Beast. And Beast went from being a 3D character in a costume to a 2D representation of a, I don't know, Looney Tune take. Like
Still does it for me.
I think it
does
visually
it for me.
looks
I
more
don't-
like the comic. I love that he's got his like cat little two. I loved what he was supposed to look like, but when he got run over by the scary guy in Roger Rabbit, I was like, no, that's not the character I love. So the 2D-ness really bothered me in the end, so it drops to a 2.5.
Got it.
I don't know if
I'm
I
like
just
permanently mad that the first time I see an X-Men in the MCU, he's 2D.
I
Like,
didn't.
literally, the first X-Men in the MCU is a ones and zeros representation.
But it's
we
Beast.
saw Charles Xavier before. Does that not count?
Yes, I was thinking multiversally, but this is multiversally. Okay, that does count.
Yeah.
The first time I see Beast. 2.5. Hurts my soul.
It's better than I have big feet all of a sudden, Beast. Like
That's comic accurate.
but okay, but like if we're looking at
Narratively in the movie, sure, that does bother me, and I do think we should like not always go like it's in the comics because sometimes comics don't translate to movies. But in this case, I do think him looking rough hurt me a lot.
Yeah. That's
I liked him.
I'm glad. I'm really glad.
I saw him and I was like, my boy.
And I went, my boy.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was Cedric Diggory's dad in Goblet of Fire. What have they done to my boy?
That always made me cry.
That
will
so did
destroy
Beast.
me right now.
So did Beast. Beast made me cry. I was Cedric Diggory's dad. What have they done to my boy?
Wow, some wild
I was
references
like,
today.
it still does it for me.
That's great.
Still does.
Tentacles and 2D beasts.
Yeah,
was just
I'm a
happy
simple
he
woman
was
with
there.
simple needs.
You know,
But Beast is hot though, yeah.
He's supposed
I
to
don't
be.
care if he's like Kelsey Grammer Beast or if he's Jennifer Lawrence's.
I mean, Nicholas
ex-Beast.
Holt's a handsome man.
Yeah.
I'm all
I
about
mean, we
Beast.
all have different types.
You know what my favorite is? It's the animated series, the original one. He's a bit thick.
That's why you liked him like this?
Yeah.
That's an animated beast?
Yeah.
He looks like the cartoon.
That's
Maybe
fair,
that's how they're
yeah.
going to tie in the X-Men animated series. They're going to have
That means we get a great rogue. Oh, please give us a good rogue.
That's the big twist at the end. The multiverse, this was animated beast.
Yeah.
Whoa. X-Men 97.
So, yeah, exactly.
Wild.
That new show, it's just
Yeah.
like,
Let's go.
he looks 3D, but 2D, and he just
So every
intersperses.
time he turns to the side, it's
just
just
looks all
like,
flat,
yeah,
yeah.
that's great.
He's from a comic. He just walks
Can't
out.
hug him then.
Oh boy.
Veto.
All right. Well, hey, what do y'all think of the directing? Director Nia DeCosta, Candyman. I thought she did. Again, I think we've said it multiple times. I think a lot of the problems may be coming from the script, but I do think I like when any director just like takes a swing in like a mainstream movie. Like you said, a lot of these kind of like longer, like flowy, like takes and stuff like that. There's that long take where Kamala and her family are cleaning up the house, and everyone's just like
Yeah.
pretty pissed off at
Yeah,
her.
and you
But
see all
it's
their
just like,
reactions.
yeah, and I'm like, just do anything that just like it shows that you're, have a style or perspective and you're bringing to that movie. And I like seeing when directors are able to use that in mainstream films. Yeah.
If I could start, the internet's very mad at me for saying, like, I don't blame Nia DeCosta because they've mentioned many times that she also wrote the film. I, again, think it was an original idea that worked. But in this case, I can separate writer Nia DeCosta from director. So in this case, I can comfortably say, really dug the directing. I do think the edit messed with her directing.
Yeah.
I do think that, much like, okay, so the first movie was directed by this incredible directing duo that made Mississippi Grind, a movie I really love, and some other indie films. But that didn't translate to Captain Marvel. Like, I don't think that worked. Whereas this was cool to see a director that is known for, like, this great horror movie and more independent stuff get to translate their work to a bigger budget, so that even elevated it more. Plus, she really got the chemistry of the team. Plus, she was really able to find uniqueness in moments. So 4 for me, because it was the directing I think the movie needed.
Okay. Kim, what?
3. Like I don't really feel any kind of way, good or bad. So just skip me.
Got her number on the logs.
I'm always a big fan of seeing women direct women, especially in a heavily male-dominated arena. I did like moments of sort of like nurture care. Carol Danvers is, I guess, the weight that's been on her shoulders the entire time. I think that was really nicely conveyed. I love the fact that it wasn't hijacked by a romantic love interest. The way that Carol Danvers spoke about the prince was that it was
A
just
legal
that's it
problem.
You know,
An obligation almost. Yeah. It's just like, well, we gotta
It's
just
not
do
a love
it.
marriage.
Yeah.
but that
Yeah.
Bechdel test was firing on all cylinders in this film, which I'm always a big fan of. I don't like the fact that that'll probably be used against it though. But from I do think though that there was that whole, what do women want? Oh, they want princes and they want musicals, and I was like, no, we don't.
We
Not
want
all of us.
gowns
Yeah.
and ballroom dancing.
I mean, I did love the Captain Marvel gown. Like, I
It was
was
a
a
cool
bit of a
dress.
sucker for
Oh man,
that.
that
We're
cosplay is
just-
going to be everywhere.
Yeah.
begging for a designer to make that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway, I don't. Yeah.
Wait, sorry, did you
That's
say
beside the point.
Bechdel test or Bechtel test?
No, you know what it's
You said
Bechdel's.
You said
test.
Bechtel.
Tommy is a
Yeah,
bit
you
part
said-
of Tommy's
Did
test.
Tommy approve this?
I think in the lore of the break room,
said
the
what I
Bechtel
said.
test is something else, but I might not be aware of that, of what the answer of that is.
And
So
it changes every time.
yeah, it changes every time.
Yeah.
Um,
But if he's not here, I'm going to bring it.
hey, everybody say happy birthday, Tommy.
Yay! Happy birthday, my dude!
All right, do you have a number for the directing?
3.5.
3.5. All right.
How's that math coming along?
I give it a 4.
I'll give it a 3.5 as well. I think.
I think that's an average of 3.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Sounds the last one.
And the last category, which is it's always the most important one, the sound and score. I don't know why when I came up with this review format that sound and score is last.
Opening with writing and then ending with sound is rough because I'm like,
Well, I did enjoy the use of Memory as sung by, I think, Barbara Streisand for the Cats scene.
Oh, yeah,
that's
the
cute.
cat scene. That was great. Yeah.
Well, the Flurkin
Fun
scene.
needle drop.
"Oh, they look like cats." So I did appreciate the little tongue-in-cheek joke there.
It's actually kind of a quiet movie. I feel
Yeah,
like there wasn't a lot of score that was like really kind of used as a way to like kind of like move through the movie. Yeah. Also, I forgot to mention music by Laura Cartman, who also worked on What If and Miss Marvel, was a composer on Miss Marvel. So I mean, there's definitely there's like fun needle drops as far as things that like fit the rhythm of the scene. But I also sometimes maybe a little too quiet. But also, I played drums for 6 years, so my ears are going.
More drums.
More drums.
I think I had more positive moments than negative moments with the sound, so I'll give it a 3.5.
Oh, I didn't do a number.
Sound.
3.5 or 4. Let's do a 4.
Okay.
I'm having a good day.
I gotta go the other way. I do find that so Miss Marvel's a great example of when sound is incredible, right?
Yeah,
Miss Marvel was able to capture a feel, an energy, a pulse, and it moved the story and was emotionally resonant. And then WandaVision had that beautiful, like, tense, like, mystery. So the two other examples of this trio showed what sound can be. And then I also found that it was leaning pretty hard into, like, we're doing something like Star Trek, so let's use Beastie Boys. So I did find the sound felt like it wasn't its own identity.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go 2.
I liked those moments. I think it grounded. I think it humanized them a lot more.
I think it felt like it was trying to be Guardians to me. Like, it was like, what if we have a cool, catchy...
I didn't see it like that.
Hasn't
I'm glad-
Beastie Boys popped up a lot?
Oh,
in
Intergalactic.
movies
Oh my God,
in the
yeah.
past year.
But specifically,
Planetary.
Intergalactic is very Star Trek based, and like the movie looked like it was Star Trek sets, and somehow had like
I
darn
don't think
sure,
it's fair to mark that song as Star Trek.
But it
It
actually
was in Star Trek.
it
Doesn't
felt
mean
like they
it's
were
owned by
doing.
Star
Oh, it's not
Trek.
owned by, but the association
It
for
did
me.
have a Star Trek feel.
Yeah.
I would absolutely not just because of that one.
No, but the
song,
movie,
like
the style,
everything,
the opening,
different planet.
yeah, that felt very like to me felt consciously Star Trek. So it seemed like a low hanging fruit to be like, we made a Star Trek thing, Intergalactic. Like, I'm not saying it's owned by, but I'm saying Star Trek used it too first.
This is not my Trek. I don't agree with this.
I'm not saying it was a good thing.
I'm not saying it was a bad thing.
I just don't think it's accurate.
Dashiell, you need a number from me, right? I think.
Yeah.
3.
Nice. Boom.
But mostly because, hey, that guy next to me wanted to shut
Oh
up.
yeah. He cost you like a 20%
Yeah.
enjoyment.
Really,
at least.
if not, yeah, at
50.
least. I should have just moved my seat.
What does he look like? We get a sketch artist in here. I'll find
Let's
him.
map them.
Ooh,
I'll
yeah.
find him.
All
All
right.
right, we're mathing.
So yeah, as Dashiell's doing the final count, I just want to ask, like, when do you guys think we'll see these characters next? Are we going to see all 3 of them together again? Are we going to see any of them? I mean, obviously Monica is in another, universe, but who do we see next first? And like, do we see them teaming up again?
We see Carol next, but we
Okay.
don't see them teaming up for a while because when Monica comes back is when we have the advent of the X-Men.
Yeah.
Breaking the fourth wall, we haven't heard any news about them making, casting, writing, doing anything for the X-Men at this point. So it's not for a long time.
I care way more about mutants than I do about this trio again.
Yeah.
I think we see Monica first, and I think it's next year in Deadpool.
Do you think it's as a tease or it's in the movie?
No, I think she's
proper?
in the movie because I think they're gonna have to. I think they're gonna end the Fox universe or start ending the Fox universe in Deadpool. So I think Kelsey and like all those cast members come back to die. Like I think they
To die?
Oh yeah, they're gonna fold that universe away. It's gonna implode on
Yes.
itself. So
I
I think Deadpool 3 is gonna have Monica because of the X-Men, not because.
What
it's the other way.
if Monica is Kitty Pryde?
Whoa, canon. But Miss Marvel, I think the most likely. I think Monica
Oh my
first,
God, I
then
didn't
Miss
even think
Marvel.
about that.
I think the Young Avengers are going to be involved in Thunderbolts, as well as probably getting a Disney Plus show, I'd imagine. So I could see Monica being first, followed closely by Miss Marvel.
Dashiell give you the numbers as a whole, but not add them up for you, so you
No,
have to
no.
discreetly be adding
He's
it up.
checking the math.
got it.
It's even
No.
funnier that
Oh,
Evan's
that's-
I
checking
had
the
to check
tape
the math.
because we don't want to be on the internet with the wrong number after all that.
I saw you hand in the note, and then he starts giggling, and I was like, "Oh, there's a hilarious joke on that note."
Just wrote a note and walked
No.
away.
No.
Maud
Was the number
wrong.
right?
The number's right, yeah.
Okay.
I was just surprised because I really thought, I thought it'd be higher.
I thought I kind of not have to,
Yeah,
boost
yeah.
it.
No, we'll cut it.
Was it
Yeah,
out of 10 or
yeah,
was it
we'll
out of
cut
5?
it. It was out of 5.
Same
yeah.
answers.
Yeah, because it's 4 of us, it should go up to 105. Yeah. No, so the final number here is 66, which I think is the lowest number we've given out of movie scores
That feels
on the
about
Breakroom
right.
Movie Review.
Feels really accurate.
That feels
Okay.
right. I'm happy
Yeah.
with 66.
66. Okay.
What if we had another 6? No. Well, that would have been more exciting than anything that happened in the
Mephisto's not in this one.
Mephisto coming soon.
Yeah, but like I mean, soon. All
Ironheart
right.
TBD.
Well, hey, that's it for us today. Let us know what you thought of the movie and our ratings. I'm sure it will be a totally normal comment section.
Oh, yeah.
I don't foresee anything bad or ugly
No.
in that.
No, not at all.
People that are positive will love that we didn't love it, and people that are ready to hate it are going to be very happy to talk in the
Yeah, gray areas don't usually do well, do they?
Yeah. All right.
And it's the blonde chick. Please,
Right,
please,
come on now.
The blonde chick, if you want to address anything towards me, please use my real name.
Hey, follow the Breakroom at Breakroom NR on Twitch, where we do videos like this live 3 p.m. weekdays. And subscribe here on YouTube. Would any of you like to plug anything?
No. Find me online. I exist on social media.
I'm at Coy Jandreau on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and I just got my YouTube back up because the strike's over. So I made a 7-minute review of this movie, but I'm going to be doing a lot more coming through, and I do a lot of comic stuff. So if you like these characters, I gave my top 3 favorite runs of each of these characters on my TikTok and YouTube because I'm always trying to get people to actually read the comics themselves. Even if you didn't like the movie, you might love the characters, and that's a great way to find them between movies.
I talk books. Maude Garrett or Maude's Book Club.
And yeah, that's it. Well, hey, later.
Gator.